Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. Today we have a new set of crazy stories about crazy people for you to enjoy. If you don't like when your boss says do it and don't leave until you finish the job, our first story is dedicated to you. Here we go. Clean the store, top to bottom. Yes, boss. This happened when I worked in retail around 2005. I was 15. I was working at a very small grocery store, and although it was a small store, we were always busy as it was near a popular beach and along a highway rest area. The night before, I'd worked from 12 a.m. to 6 a.m. packing shelves. There was a huge delivery coming in that had to be stocked for the next day. I was offered double time pay for the shift, so I jumped at a chance to work it. At 12 p.m. that afternoon, 6 hours after finishing the packing shift and barely getting 5 hours sleep, I got a call from the assistant manager, Fran, who wanted me to come in to work a shift. I explained that I'd just finished a shift and had only had a few hours sleep. Fran, but the other girl is called in sick and you're the closest person. I live in the motel next door. My family were managing the motel at this point. Me, too naive to know that I didn't legally have to come in and should have been paid overtime for working back-to-back shifts. Fine, but I'm working on 5 hours sleep, so don't expect me to do too much. I got dressed and walked like a zombie to the store. When I arrived, we were extremely quiet, with the occasional customer every 10 minutes or so. I was surprised she called me in at all, considering that even on a busy day, one person can run the store on their own. Fran, around 2 p.m. I'm going on my break. Will you clean the store while I'm gone? I pick up a duster, knelt down on my knees, and proceeded to dust underneath the shelves. It had been thoroughly cleaned during the 6-hour packing shift I'd done a few hours ago, so it didn't need mopped. Fran, no, not like that. You need to get under the shelf to clean it. Me, why can't you do it? I'm exhausted, and I'm doing my best not to fall asleep on the spot. I'd informed her that I'd done the midnight packing shift. Fran, you have to do it. I have a bad back. Fran then proceeded to grab the duster and lean down against OH&S bending guidelines and dust it underneath the shelf to demonstrate, making it look easy for someone who claimed to have a bad back. Fran, I'm going on my 15-minute break, and by the time I come back, I want the floors to be spotless. Don't do anything else. Me, absolutely spotless. Gotcha. It was 2:02 p.m. at this point, and I knew that any minute now there would be a tour bus arriving. It arrived around 2 p.m. every day. Cue the malicious compliance. I started cleaning under every shelf and every display like my life depended on it. And a few minutes after Fran had left, customers began to trickle in. But I was under strict instructions to only clean under the shelves. Customers began to queue at the register. This was before there were self-serve registers. Customer, after noticing that I was there but not serving them, hello, are you working? Can I get some service, please? Me, I'm so sorry, sir, bringing out my innocent puppy dog eyes and red tear-dusted eyes from lack of sleep. I was told I had to clean the floors and I wasn't allowed to do anything else. I really don't want to lose my job. The customer stormed out of the store and a few minutes later came back with Fran in tow. She'd been outside smoking. Customer, addressing Fran, this poor young lady's in tears because you threatened her job. Fran, you have to stop doing this to your staff. Frank, the manager in charge of Fran, will be hearing about this. Me, feeling brave and empowered by this, I told you I've been working on 4 hours of sleep after working all night with Frank packing shelves. I'm going to go home to sleep. I believe you have some customers that need serving. I was so tired and angry that I didn't care if I was fired, so I went home and slept for most of the afternoon. It turned out that customer was one of Frank's close friends and was the driver of the tour bus that arrived every day. I turned up to work my regular shift the next day and explained to Frank everything that had happened and how Fran had treated me. He told me to go back to work and he would take care of it. Fran got a harsh talking to about her behavior and conduct in the workplace and was let go. This was her final warning, as she'd been doing this for months to other staff members. Assistant managers don't have as much power as they think they do. Oh, and her bad back? She didn't have any back issues. She just used this excuse to not have to do anything at work. I never saw Fran in work uniform after that, but she did come in from time to time to buy groceries. We were the only grocery store in the area, apart from a takeaway shop. I'd always give the same, "Hi, welcome to store location. How are you today?" with the biggest grin on my face. Boy, was that sweet. And our next story. I know the rules. Do you? A little backstory. This happened years ago while I was working in retail. I'd been at this place for 3 years, was cross-trained in every department, had never had a sick day, and was always available to cover shifts when they called me. The important thing to say is that we were also unionized. I would soon be getting married and moving across the country, so being the good employee I was, I gave my store manager my termination notice a month before my last day instead of just 2 weeks, so he'd have plenty of time to hire someone new. Here's the good part. A few days after I turned in my notice, I broke my foot in an act of stupidity. 3 avulsion fractures, they couldn't cast it. Doctor gave me some pain meds and a note saying I could continue to work as a cashier as long as I had a stool or something so I could help keep the weight off my foot. The next day, I grabbed my cane and walked to work with my note. I explained the situation to my supervisor and union rep, and they pull a bar stool from the furniture section and put it in my cash booth. I spend the day working without a problem. The next day, my store manager sees me sitting on the stool and calls me into his office. I go in and he wants to know why I have a stool. The conversation goes roughly as follows. Manager: Why are you sitting down on shift? Me: Because I broke my foot and the doctor says I cannot be standing on it all day. I have the note and the union's approval. Manager looks over the note and notices the cane beside my chair. I can't let you keep the stool. If we did that, we'd have to make accommodations for everyone who got injured outside of working hours. Plus, it doesn't look professional to have you sitting at the front of the store. Now, I know he isn't allowed to do that and that I could have taken this up with the union and won the case, but with only 3 weeks left with the company, I would be lucky to have it resolved before I left. So I get a bright idea. Me: Okay, I'll make you a deal. Instead of bringing this to the union, I'll give up the stool, but in return, you need to make sure that every shift I work from now on is as the garden center cashier. My manager quickly agrees and thanks me for being understanding. He walks with me out to the garden center and explains to the current cashier that I'll be taking over for the rest of the month. Now, being unionized is not always a great thing, but if you know the rules, you can get away with a lot without being fired. With my union, the key was to do exactly what was in your job description, so long as it didn't put you, your coworkers, or the company at risk. Since most of us liked our jobs and respected the store's owner, not the manager, we always went above and beyond. But I was on my way out, and after my talk with the manager, I no longer cared. A few days later, the manager comes out to let the supervisor know that a shipment of flowers will be arriving sometime today. He apparently decided to check up on me and was completely speechless when he saw me. There I was, sitting on my register's counter, reading a book. Manager: What on earth are you doing? Me: Waiting for the next customer to come up while taking the weight off my foot. Why? Manager: You know I could fire you for this, right? Me: My job is to be a cashier, which I'm doing whenever someone comes up. There are no additional duties like cleaning or stocking for the garden center cashier, so between customers I'm taking the weight off my foot as per my doctor's note, minus the stool, of course. Manager: I could still fire you for reading on the sales floor. Me: Please do. Since I've never received a warning or been written up, that would mean you were firing me for a first offense, which is not sufficient cause for the union. That would mean you would owe me 5 weeks severance, my unclaimed vacation time, and the pay I would miss between now and my final day. Now, you could also spend the next 2 weeks trying to catch me reading. That way, you could issue me the required 3 warnings, followed by the required 3 write-ups, but that would eat up a lot of your time, and I'm pretty sure I could have someone inside call to warn me if they see you coming this way. At this point, a man with a cart full of bags of dirt starts heading my way, and I hop off the register onto my good foot and hop around the register so I can serve him. Manager never came to see me again. And our next story. I'm paid by the hour. One day, working at a convenience store, I had a line begin to form at the register I was working at. The customer I was trying to help was someone that was so bored, they figured they'd try to anger me by wasting my time. He started asking basic questions about products behind the counter, then proceeded to draw the conversation out meaninglessly. After it became apparent I had no response or didn't know the answer, he picked a different product and started over. I suppose he wanted me to reflect on my job and show him how miserable he thought I should be to be making minimum wage and dealing with a guy who wasn't trying to hide the fact he was trying to make me mad. I dealt with similar people in retail by this point and was pretty good at dealing with them. I continued to politely answer his questions and be as patient and friendly as possible as a line started to form behind him. After some time, he started to realize I wasn't getting angry and he started to get annoyed by it. He started being even more annoying in the same fashion. There was now a line of people behind him watching this happen. I decided not to inform him that there were people behind him. Eventually, he asked me something along the lines of, "Am I not making you mad?" Except not that direct. But still, that's essentially what he was asking me. That's when I delivered one of my favorite comebacks I had the fortune of handing out during the time I worked in retail. "Sir, I'm getting paid by the hour. The people behind you aren't, though." He proceeded to glance behind him and was met with multiple pairs of angry eyes. A few of them even laughed at my comment. Annoying guy immediately left in embarrassment. Entitled woman mistakes me for employee, then comes for job interview. I was doing some late-night shopping on a Sunday night at Walmart when this woman comes up to me. "Excuse me, I need help finding these items." She shoves a list into my chest. "I'm sorry, miss, I don't work here." I think that was the wrong thing to say, because she just exploded on me. "Bullcrap! Don't be lazy! You're in the uniform!" My shirt was the same color as a Walmart employee's, but I was not an employee. It's the same color, but I repeat, I'm not an employee. I can't help you. "F you, you lazy F! Get me your manager! I'm gonna get you fired!" I decided to just walk away. She yelled and tried to chase after me, but I keep running until I lose her. Then I go and pay for my things. Now, a week later, I was told I would be interviewing someone who was applying for the secretary position in our company. So I go to the interview room and call in the applicant. I look at the picture on the application form and my eyes widened. It was the same woman who'd harassed me in the Walmart. Oh, now this was too perfect. She came in, saw me, and gasped. "Take a seat, please," I said, and she sat down, looking pale. Oh, I was going to enjoy this. But I conducted the interview as professionally as possible. I made it very painful for her. So if someone came up to you and asked you for help in a place you didn't work, then you told them you didn't work there, and then they yell at you, and then they harass you when they come for a job interview, and you were the one interviewing them, what would you do? Would you give them a job? She did not get the job, and I got some payback. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one.